Thanks for tuning in to Moody's Mixer, winning with prostate cancer, no fear necessary. It's a beautiful day, and I'm getting back and looking forward to a new year. This has been just such a tremendous journey, and I hope you've been enjoying this. It feels good to kind of be back in my wilderness. Kind of recovering. I've had some medical challenges, but not necessarily in a real bad way. But I do kind of want to talk about some of those issues and the mental part of it, because one of the biggest struggle dealing with cancer or any chronic disease or illness is the mental piece. Help myself and help those out there who may be struggling with their own illnesses and understand this kind of the ebb and flows of the mental part of a health journey. And you probably saw where Thanksgiving that I had some uneasy feeling of work done, and again you can see those results on my channel on YouTube. But then I took a trip to DC to NAPSI's 50th anniversary, and also we had our 100th anniversary for Omega Psi Phi Psi chapter in Atlanta last weekend. So I was gone for about 10 days, and my body really took a beating. And when I got back last Sunday, I think I was on adrenaline, and by Wednesday, my body had just kind of totally collapsed. And I was kind of in a place of not understanding what was going on with my body. I had a headache that was just out of this world. More than anything, my mental state kind of just took a nosedive, and I just kind of want to talk about that. I want to talk about that because I think it's important that we understand what happens to us when we have an illness, cancer, that our mind can kind of take over. But I'm actually in a great place now. I feel great, and finally I got rid of it, and then, you know, my throat started getting a little scratchy, and what I realized eventually is that it was my sinuses. You know, I was in 3 different climates in 10 days. You know, I was in DC, which was very cold. Then I went to Atlanta, which, you know, Atlanta has cold and hot in 12 hours, but it also rained a lot. And then when I get back to, you know, my wilderness, you know, it's beautiful weather. So my body was going through a whole bunch of different changes of climate, and my sinuses just really started reacting. But of course, you know, when you have an illness, especially something like cancer, and you kind of, you know, miss some of your protocol things because of your traveling, you know, you're not thinking sinuses or it's just a cold or flu or whatever. And of course, you know, all of us coming out of COVID, you know, man, do I have COVID in the whole 9 yards? But it becomes a mental battle that, you know, we have to learn how to navigate, no matter what we're going through, how to get over this. And so I got in a pretty low place, you know, like, man, what's going on? And, you know, the good thing I was able to call some folks to try to kind of, you know, talk me off the bridge, you know, just kind of say, hey, it's going to be all right. And it's always good to have some people you can kind of talk to kind of, you know, bring you back into focus. You know, that's very important that you have those people in place in your life. You know, the groups that I'm a part of, you know, support groups, really, you know, kind of help me power through some of these, you know, these low days and nights sometimes, you know, that when you got to talk to somebody. So, and you know, people that kind of understand what you're going through, you know, not to make it easy or put a pillow under you sometimes, but sometimes to kick you like, hey man, look, stop tripping. It's fully recovered, but it took some time for me to get my body back to where it needs to be. Heard me talk about slow down quite a bit during, on this journey. And that's probably my biggest hurdle that I've always had my whole life, is to slow down. And I had to just kind of put the brakes on everything for about 4 or 5 days this past week. And here I am now, just, it's just beautiful out here, and I kind of feel like I'm back. But, I get some stories that that are kind of funny, and maybe just kind of help you get through, your mental battles, as we go through our own mental health and our own physical health, how to get a little bit better about what's going on. I couldn't sleep, and, it's probably 3 in the morning. I'm laying in bed, and I'm just like, well, this has to stop. So, I just get on all fours in the bed, put my head down. So, I'm kind of at an angle, and, my buttocks is kind of up. I'm kind of down. And I'm just like, praying, Lord, take this pain out of me. I don't know if you ever had to just lay in bed on all fours and just trying to get rid of something. But that's what I was doing, just trying to get rid of that headache. And I just couldn't sleep. And that went on for about 48 hours. Got to relax, get off the bridge. It's kind of like in a horror movie when someone's just screaming, you need them to run or do something, they just screaming, you like got to slap them, kind of like wake up. And that's what I had to kind of do to myself, like, oh, wait a minute, relax, Corey. Take a deep breath, exhale. What's going on? Okay, because I had to realize that the cancer is not going to attack me like that. Okay, but when you kind of in that place sometimes, it just puts you in a bad spot. And I had to kind of just like, okay, hold on now. What's really going on? And kind of just walk myself off the bridge. And it took about 72 hours before I was able kind of to get my mental place back, which then allowed my physical body to get back. And I'm saying that because, talking with a lot of people, especially with cancer, I'm in a couple of groups that we converse with each other quite a bit, about what's going on and the ups and downs from the mental perspective, along with the physical perspective, and how that affects our life. And it was just, one of those things that, it took several days to get back. And I'm just saying that because it's going to happen. We're going to have good days and bad days. A couple of people, I said, hey man, I had a couple of bad days, or I had a bad day. But those are the fights and stuff that we have to battle through, in life, and not just for illness as it relates to health, even in finances, even with that family, we have to learn to fight through when we hit these walls, and not just succumb to the pressure. And so I just kind of wanted to kind of come speak on that, so Thanksgiving, along with, when I came back, these last 2 weeks, kind of did a number on me mentally. But I'm back. Hey, Corey's back, and, I'm ready to, keep doing it. One of the things I really learned, you learn as an athlete, that there are times you struggle in practice trying to get to that next level. And a lot of times it seems like you're going backwards before you can go forward. But once you kind of break that threshold, it's like, man, I'm finally through it. Because everything's not going to always be perfect. This is not a perfect journey, but it's a journey that I just want to document to kind of help others and to help myself. I have a physical disease of cancer, but 80% of it is a mental fight. And I'm saying that because as I talked about so many other things on this journey, so many things become mental. And I had to kind of break through this mental struggled this week, and I'm glad to be here to be able to talk to you like this, knowing that I've kind of broke through, even though it was a low period. Because I want to encourage you that, you know, these low periods are going to come. We're going to get these periods of woe it's me, and feel like, man, what am I doing? What's happening? And we have to continue the fight. So the other thing I want to talk about, you know, I talked about, you know, to settle or to go to court. And that full episode is out there on my YouTube channel also. But, you know, I kind of want to bring some of that into a little more focus as it relates to kind of settled and say, you know what, forget this, go to the hospital, go do this thing, just let them do whatever, you know, because I was just in such a bad place. But I realized that, you know, there's a Supreme Court that gets to make a ruling that I said I'm going to take my case in front of. That's what got me through this last 2 weeks. I kept saying, God, you said you got me. But I kept standing on his word and standing that he is the Supreme Court judge that has the final say. And I believe that this journey he has me on, he's directing my path. It's not going to be perfect, but it's a journey I am just having such an enjoyment on. And there's been so many things that have transpired, you know, especially this past 2 weeks, that is showing me that God is still in control of this journey. And one of the things are the indicators. And, you know, I know a lot of folks going to judge my life by this journey that I'm on. They're going to judge it by when and how I die, to whether or not I made the right decision. Fortunately for me, that's not an indicator that's important to me and God. And we have to find our own indicators that tells us where we are in our journey in life, not just with our health, but everything. So again, I want to thank you for tuning in to Moody's Mixer, Winning with Prostate Cancer, No Fear Necessary. And please, if you get a chance, please hit the subscribe button, the like button, comments, please. It helps me understand, you know, how to improve my content, because it helps me. So I want to thank you for tuning in to Moody's Mixer. I'll see you again next week.